Hi, this is Mike Turner from the Epic team, and this is a short tutorial showing how to launch an Epic desktop to use the zCAD and zMesh geometry repair, preparation and meshing tools. Okay, to start off with, I've logged into Epic and you can see my dashboard view. I'm going to go to my data view and show you the geometry we're looking at. So I've already uploaded some files. So this is the Sky Hunter geometry I'm looking at, which is a remote control aircraft / UAV. So you can see I've got a DAT geometry and I've also got an IGES geometry. So this is what I want to work on, and to work on it I'm going to launch an Epic desktop. So if I go to new desktop, I've got two options here. I've got the PowerView server, which is for visualization, and then I've got Epic desktop, which is a cloud-based Linux desktop. This gives you access to a variety of applications including OpenFOAM and PowerView, as well as zCAD, zMesh if you have access to them. It's connected to using a tool called DCV from a company called Nice, and it's now owned by AWS. So this is a remote visualization toolkit, which is very useful. So I'm going to hit that as my option. First thing I need to do is point Epic at the data I want to actually work on. So this is the Sky Hunter folder I just showed you in the data view. And I've got two options with the data. I've got an online option and an offline option. The online option effectively mounts that folder as a file system on the Linux desktop, and any changes you make to the files are automatically synchronized back to your Epic data store. And offline takes a copy of that folder onto the desktop node. Any changes you make, you'd need to then manually copy back to Epic or back to your host machine. Okay, so I'm going to connect using Nice DCV. I've got three node options here. I've got a standard, a large, and a large multi-GPU node. I'm just going with standard. It's a single T4 GPU, 8 cores and 32 gigs of memory, which is fine for what I'm going to do today. And I'm going to run that for 1 hour. Okay, so the total cost for that is going to be maximum cost of £1. I'll only actually get charged for the time I use. So I'll just go ahead and launch that. Okay, so if I click on this node info, it'll just take a few minutes now to start the desktop node for me in the cloud, prepare my data, and then it will give me the connection options. Okay, so it's taken a couple of minutes, but now my node is now ready. So status has gone to ready and this connect panel has appeared. So this gives you the details you need to connect to your DCV instance. So first of all, that's the URL for it, but you can just click that and it will open it in a new tab for you. And then you need to log in. So the login details here, username Epic, and then this is the password. So I can just hit that button to copy that into my clipboard. And I'm just going to, so the username is Epic, and then just paste in that password. Okay, so that logs you into DCV, and then you'll need to be logged into the Linux node itself. Okay, so again the username is Epic, and then you need the same password. So an easy way of getting this in there is just to right click and paste. If it's not in your clipboard, just use this paste. This icon up here lets you copy between the remote host and your host. So I'm just going to copy to the remote session, copy the password in there, and then I can right click and paste and sign in. Okay, so I'm now logged into my CentOS 7 desktop. You can see here there's a link here to add my data. So that's the Sky Hunter geometry I mounted from Epic. If I go to home, you can see it's actually home data is the folder that gets put in. Any folder structure in here would be replicated from Epic itself. Okay, to launch zCAD, the first thing you need to do is launch a terminal. Okay, so all the software on an Epic desktop is provided by modules. So if I do module avail, it will tell me what software I have available to me. So I've got zMesh, PowerView, Foam, zCFD, and zCAD. So the first thing I'm actually going to load is zMesh. I'm loading this first, just so then I'll have access to the meshing tools within zCAD. So then I'll have Mercury, etc. So I've loaded zMesh, and then I'm going to do module load zCAD. Okay, the first thing you need to do is set your RLM password. This should be set to the same. Xenotech should have provided you with this password. So if you just export your to run this export command. Export that. That's my password. I'm just going to. Okay, so just run export RLM password to the password provided by Xenotech. And then I can just launch zCAD. Okay. If zCAD doesn't appear first time on your desktop, it might look like it launches but isn't visible. Sometimes that happens depending on the monitor configuration. Just try clicking on this multi-screen button here in the top of DCV. That should either bring up a second window for you or move zCAD onto your primary desktop. That just happens every so often. Okay, so just to prove that it's working, I'm just going to load the Sky Hunter desktop so you can see my data. Okay. I'm not going to load the IGES file. Okay, so you can see now I've got the Sky Hunter geometry loaded in zCAD, and I can interact with that nice and quickly. It feels as if it's almost local. The acceleration, all the graphics are 3D accelerated in the hardware on the remote host. And because I loaded ZMesh first, I should also have access to the surface meshing tools. So if I just hit mesh on that surface, you can see it's gone off its run Mercury and it's brought back the surface mesh for me. So that's it. That's how easy it is to use zCAD on a remote desktop. If I just quit this, I mentioned about synchronizing changes back up. So if I go into my data folder and make any changes here, they'll appear back into my Epic host without me having to do anything. So if I just say make a backup of that Sky Hunter geometry, call it skyhunter2.dat. Okay. Okay, then if I flick back into Epic, so if I just flick back to Epic here and go back to my data, you can see without me doing anything, that skyhunter2.dat has been synchronized back up to my Epic data store. So it's very easy to get data to and from these nodes. When I'm finished with the desktop, I can either leave it running until the time limit is hit, but I finished with it early. It's only cost me 21 pence, so I'm just going to terminate that now. And that will close the node, terminate everything that was on that disk, and that's it. It's now terminating. So that's it. That was a quick tour of using zCAD on Epic desktops.